Aliens, if you're watching this, can you please make me see a UFO? I would love that, and I totally wouldn't talk about it on my YouTube channel. You're just crazy. I wouldn't make a story time. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 places you should visit if you want to see a UFO or an extraterrestrial alien. Now, I made sure to pick places that were not super touristy, that claim that they have alien activity and turns out they don't, so you don't like show up to a location and then all you found that's related to aliens is like alien mini golf or something. So I did try to only include locations that are not really tourist heavy, that are literally just places that you're statistically more likely to see a UFO. But before we get started, I'm Sophia Lovelace and I post about ghosts, schools, anything creepy and cool. So if any of that stuff interests you, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to be notified when I have new uploads. Also, when you're down there, make sure to hit the bell icon to be one of the first people notified when I have new uploads. And you really want to do that because it is 100% free. So if you want some free creepy content, make sure to hit the bell icon. So I did do a video fairly recently on my channel about the top 10 UFO sightings, where I talked about some of the most iconic sightings in history of UFOs or unidentified flying objects. However, you guys have been requesting more alien type videos, so I decided I'm gonna do this one. So it's a little bit different. It's about locations that you can actually visit where there's a good chance that you could see a UFO. So first, I should have a little bit of an explanation about UFO. UFO is literally an acronym that stands for Unidentified Flying Object. So it doesn't necessarily mean aliens, it doesn't necessarily mean extraterrestrials, it can be any object that is flying in the sky that you don't know what it is, or the government doesn't know what it is, or nobody knows what it is. But over the years, UFO has become sort of synonymous with the term extraterrestrial and aliens, so I'm going to be using the term UFO to imply alien spacecraft throughout this video, even though something doesn't have to be an alien spacecraft to count as a UFO. So the very first place you want to visit if you want to see a UFO is to go to Alaska. I know most of you who are watching this video who are interested in aliens and know a lot about aliens, you're probably surprised by this answer because stereotypically when we think of aliens, we think of New Mexico in the desert. But statistically, you're more likely to see a UFO in the northern states. Now, this doesn't just include Alaska, but also you're statistically more likely to see a UFO in the states of Maine, Vermont, and Montana. I mean, I hope that this also applies to Canada, because I live in Canada, so maybe if aliens are more attracted to the north, maybe I will get to see one in my lifetime, which would be so cool and super exciting, and I really hope that happens. Aliens, if you're watching this, can you please make me see a UFO? I would love that, and I totally wouldn't talk about it on my YouTube channel. You're just crazy. I wouldn't make a story time. Now, my explanation for why UFOs or people noticing UFOs are more common in northern states is because they're less populated. So there is less things like airplanes flying around in the air, so you are less likely to say,
"Oh, that's probably an airplane."
So even if it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft, if it was in a really busy area like Los Angeles or Toronto that have massive airports, you probably would think it's just an airplane. But if you're in the middle of the wilderness in Alaska and you see crazy lights, you're more likely to think that's a UFO. So this doesn't necessarily mean that aliens are visiting northern states and northern areas more often. It just means that they're noticed more. Number 2 on this list is Wiltshire, England. Now, it is said, and it's most commonly believed, that this is where crop circles and the idea of crop circles originated. Now, this is highly debated because some people believe that crop circles have been going on for centuries and have actually appeared in South America for thousands or hundreds of years. So it is impossible to tell where the idea of crop circles originated, but most people believe that it started in Wiltshire, England. And it is a pretty common occurrence to see crop circles in Wiltshire, England. However, this isn't the strangest thing that is in Wiltshire, England, because it is also home to Stonehenge. Now, Stonehenge is an ancient site that was built by people who lived in England like hundreds of years ago. And up until recently, people struggled to come up with a theory of why this stone structure was created. Now, the most common theory about Stonehenge is that it's actually a burial place because there is a few burial mounds around the site. And there actually is another place that is very similar to Stonehenge, which has a lot of evidence of people giving birth at that place. So this is supposed to be like the place where they bring people who are sick or dying, and then there's another place where people would go if they were gonna give birth to a baby. So there's a lot interesting about Stonehenge, especially since its position and how I believe it's on the summer solstice, that it perfectly aligns, which is just really cool that they figured out how to do that in the ancient times. But because they did that, that shows the amount of dedication and their importance and their belief on how important Stonehenge was, whatever it was, that they would put so much time and effort into it. But a lot of people have the question, why did they put Stonehenge here? And also, since there is some extraterrestrial or some theorized extraterrestrial activity in the area, did these ancient people put their dead here because somehow they associated it with the afterlife because aliens came from the sky? Or I'm sounding a little bit like Ancient Aliens right now. Which, I mean, was a pretty good show. That was my favorite show for a long time. But I am kind of sounding like them right now. Which kind of gets on my nerves because I am an anthropology student. Yeah. Anyways, maybe the aliens have something to do with Stonehenge. I don't think they built it, but maybe like they can sense the energy that the ancient people were sensing, that were like, hey, let's build something really cool here. Maybe. I don't know, it's a theory. Now, normally I wouldn't include an entire country on a list, but I feel like it is completely relevant to say one of the most common places that you can see a UFO is in Chile. People who have been living in Chile for hundreds of years have reported having interactions with aliens quite frequently. Now, Chile is located in the area that once had the indigenous population of the Incas. And the Incas lived in Chile from around 1400 to 1533, and they reported seeing UFOs, and some people have even claimed that some of their architecture, like Machu Picchu, which is a very, very common tourist attraction, but it is quite, I think it's like quite a hike up the mountain to this place, but it has some really great architectural advances. So some people theorize that they got some advice or some help from aliens. Now, that is up for you to believe, because there is much evidence in history that ancient people were able to build monumental structures. So like Machu Picchu, the pyramids, there's like a wall in Zimbabwe that is like really long, and it's kind of confusing about how people built that. So those are just some examples of ancient people being able to build really fascinating sites. So maybe it was aliens, maybe it wasn't, maybe it's a combination of both. I really don't know, because I wasn't there. But make sure to leave your thoughts down below. What do you think? Do you think Machu Picchu was responsible, or aliens were responsible for Machu Picchu? Or do you think it was human-made? make sure to leave your thoughts down below. And there has even been some reported images of UFOs at Machu Picchu. Now, I really don't have an opinion on if they're real or fake or not, but here they are, and just make a decision for yourself if you think they're real or not, or if you're unsure, and make sure to leave some comments. I would love to hear your theories of why you think or you don't think that they're real. Now, the most interesting thing about Chile is that there is actually a UFO trail that you can go on. Now, this trail is about 30 kilometers, and the reason that they named this the UFO trail is because it's a relatively flat area. However, along this trail, there are certain craters of volcanic rock which seem really out of place for the geographical area. So it is hypothesized that UFOs crashed in this area, and that's why there is this strange rocks and craters. Now, according to the sources that I got my information from, which I will link in the description, so if you want to read them when you are done watching this video, it says that it is still open for the public. So if you want to go on this UFO trail to see these craters, you can go ahead and do that. Now, I talked about this place very briefly in my previous video, and in that video I talked about the Phoenix Lights, which was a very strange phenomenon that happened, I believe, in the 90s, which is still unexplained to this day. However, that was one major event that became worldwide news, and definitely one of the most significant events in history for the proof of UFOs and extraterrestrials. But that is not the only thing that has happened in Phoenix, Arizona that is proof of aliens and UFOs and extraterrestrials. Throughout recent years and recent decades, there actually has been a few events very similar to the Phoenix Lights. And I'm gonna insert the classic photo here that I included in my last video. So this is one of the most famous images of UFOs in all time. But here are some other images that are not as famous that were taken on different days. So that is also interesting that this is not just a one-time occurrence, that this has happened several times throughout history. And Phoenix has a little bit of tourism, but definitely not crazy. So you definitely have a good chance of seeing UFOs without dealing with crowds everywhere. And there has been, over the past few years, a few conventions about aliens and UFOs. So maybe you could plan a trip to go to one of the conventions and then stay up one night to see if the Phoenix Lights are going to show themselves to you, or if you're going to see the Phoenix Lights. And if you do, make sure to message me about it, because I would love to hear about it. Now, the last one on this list I am pretty sure that we all know about, but the reason why I included it on this list is because you have a very good chance of seeing a UFO in this area. And this area is Area 51. Now, it is up for debate that if the UFOs that are seen at Area 51 are actually a result of aliens, or if they are a result of military test planes and spaceships and other stuff that the military might be developing. But it is relatively quiet on the site. So there has been a few videos on YouTube. I mean, if you're brave enough of sneaking onto Area 51 and not getting caught, because there is not that many people patrolling it as you would think if they were holding alien secrets or military secrets. So it is unclear about the purpose of Area 51, but it's still a really cool place to visit because you could see unidentified flying objects, and there also is a lot of abandoned buildings on the site, which is very interesting as well, because why were all these buildings here and why aren't they using them anymore? And a lot of them do look like places that you would have airplanes or some other form of space or flying craft. So that is why I included Area 51 on this list, because I do think statistically you have a very good shot of seeing a UFO. So that is the end of my video today. Hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, make sure to please give me a big thumbs up, because it really helps me out and it lets me know that you like what I'm doing. Have you visited any of the places featured on this list? Have you had any experience there? Or if you didn't, let me know why you think that is. So if you have any strange alien experiences, leave it down below. I would love to read it, and I'm pretty sure the people watching this video would love to read it as well. And I think that's it for today. Make sure to stay spooky and